Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating procedural breakdown from the office drama stories universe. We're going to look at exactly how a super mundane, boring administrative detail accidentally uncovered a massive corporate cover-up. We'll see how a seemingly simple document can hide a total maze of toxic office politics, and how following the digital paper trail can literally bring everything to the light. Let's get right into it. I want you to imagine this scenario. You're sitting at your desk, you haven't even finished your first cup of coffee yet, and you receive a finalized, highly sensitive legal response letter. This letter is supposed to provide closure to former employees. And at first glance, it looks complete, it looks totally professional. But as you're flipping through, you notice something kind of strange. The page numbers at the bottom of the document inexplicably skip directly from page 2 straight to page 4. So you gotta ask yourself, what happened to page 3? Now, the official explanation handed down by the legal department is that it was simply a quote-unquote scanning error that happened during a routine governance reset. Right. But strategy lead Maya Carter and her audit team, they're not buying it. They decide not to just accept the official story. Instead of throwing wild accusations around, they decide to track down that missing page and find out exactly what was erased.
Section 1. A quiet corporate threat. The danger of the mundane.
You know, the most dangerous workplace lies, they don't arrive with loud shouting or dramatic arguments in the boardroom. Nope. They hide in boring administrative tasks. They hide in standard processes that everyone is honestly just too busy or too tired to inspect. Strategy lead Maya Carter puts it absolutely perfectly. She says the dangerous documents never look dangerous first. And it's so true. Toxic leadership actually relies on exhaustion. They rely on the fact that when a document looks standard and uses polite corporate language, we're probably just going to sign off on it. You really have to look closely at the things that seem the most boring, because that is exactly where the biggest secrets are stashed. The contrast between the excuse and the reality is pretty stark. On one hand, you have the official story. It's this polished, polite corporate excuse of a harmless scanning error during a governance reset. I mean, it sounds so reasonable, doesn't it? But then you have the highly unethical reality, a deliberate omission designed specifically to hide altered HR records. So, a good rule of thumb? When an explanation arrives a little too smoothly, that's often a major red flag. Section 2. Building the proof map. Following the record. So, how do you actually fight back against a super polished corporate excuse? Well, you don't do it with emotions, you do it with structure. Maya and her team avoid those emotional shouting matches completely. Maya's strategy is to shift the focus entirely away from subjective feelings. Her motto is, we do not need louder opinions, we need a clean path from action to owner. The goal isn't to chase people down, right? The goal is to follow the systems. Who touched the file? Who pushed everyone to move faster? You replace human suspicion with cold, undeniable, systemic proof. Maya uses this forensic framework she calls the proof map. It's designed to cut right through all the corporate noise. You literally just ask 3 mechanical questions. What changed, who changed it, and who benefits? In our specific case, page 3 is missing. The person who changed it? Well, that's still to be determined. But who benefits? Corporate leadership benefits by hiding their prior knowledge. This framework is a game changer because it establishes accountability without leaving any room for debate. Executive Assistant Nina Ross perfectly captures why this map works so well. She says, people forget that background work still has foreground records. And wow, is that accurate? Every suppressed file, every hidden calendar export, every quiet side chat, it all leaves an indelible metadata trail. The people making these changes, they almost always think they're invisible. But corporate IT systems are like elephants. They never forget. The system is always quietly logging their actions in the background. Section 3. Polite warnings and pushback. Weaponizing process. Now, as the audit team gets closer to the truth, the resistance begins. But again, it doesn't look like a dramatic fight from the movies. Board Executive Victor Hale delivers an absolute masterclass in weaponized corporate speak. He tells Maya, "You have already won. Be careful not to turn victory into damage." Oh man, it is such a thinly veiled threat, heavily disguised as friendly career advice and concern for the company's so-called healing period. He's basically trying to make reform sound like dangerous instability. But Maya, she completely refuses to accept this framing. Her response is clear and it is incredibly principled. Truth is not damage. Hiding it was. She maintains her integrity against some really intense board-level pressure, pointing out the procedure should absolutely never be used as a shield for misconduct. The real damage, for sure, was the cover-up itself. Section 4. Exposing the missing page. The undeniable log. So the team's quiet work finally pays off. They pieced together an exact timeline thanks to IT audit specialist Jordan Price and a new analyst named Aisha. Now, Aisha actually does the one thing everyone else skips. She reads the small print. They pull the PDF export log, and boom, it shows the draft was created. Then, comments were added by an executive named Pamela Trent. After that, the PDF was exported, and then page 3 was manually removed, right after Pamela Trent's intervention. Jordan Price nails exactly why this is so incredibly damning. He says, "This is not suspicion, this is sequence." And that is the absolute crux of it. This timeline completely removes all debate. It honestly doesn't matter what excuses legal tries to spin. The mechanical reality of the system logs proves, without a doubt, that the missing page was not a scanning error. It was a manual, intentional deletion. So what exactly was on that missing page? When they finally uncover it, the truth is just staggering. The contents of page 3 actually acknowledge that HR records had been altered. It proved these modifications occurred before former employees signed their settlements, and it confirmed that the company had prior knowledge of this fact the entire time. The page was removed by design, specifically to hide those legal admissions. I mean, just imagine the tension in the boardroom when Maya presents this finding. She corners the executives using their own indisputable digital logs, telling them, "I am not asking you to trust me. I am asking you to trust the record you created." Talk about a mic drop. She completely disarms their polite corporate warnings by placing their own system data right there in front of them. Section 5. Systemic repair and accountability. Fixing the machine. Exposing the cover-up isn't the end of the story, though, because if you stop there, the culture never actually changes. True resolution requires fixing the machine, changing the very systems that allowed this unethical behavior to happen in the first place. Maya completely refuses a private, swept-under-the-rug fix. She says, do not quietly fix what can publicly teach. She isn't interested in just punishing one person. She wants to create lasting protections for employees who will never even know this boardroom meeting took place. And because of her push, the company is forced to take 3 specific, highly visible corrective steps. Number 1, Elise, an independent board member, sends out the complete letter with all the pages included. Number 2, Pamela Trent is officially removed from the matter. And number 3, Maya implements mandatory document integrity checks before any legal release happens moving forward. They make absolutely sure that this specific lie can never, ever be repeated. If you take one thing away from this explainer, please let it be this. A missing page is not a small detail when it removes accountability. Small administrative anomalies, like a skipped page number, a deleted calendar invite, a missing timestamp, they so often conceal massive ethical breaches. The boring details are exactly where you need to be looking. I want to leave you with a provocative question to think about based on everything we've unpacked today. What missing pages might be hiding inside your organization's most boring, neutral processes? Seriously, take a look closer at your own workplace systems. What comfortable explanations might you be accepting a little too easily right now? Keep asking questions, keep following the record, and never ignore the mundane. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes peeled out there.